I saw Chris Sims talking about how, he wants to try to help the running backs figure out a way to get, better contracts for them, better situations for them, and just more player control, right? And I had some thoughts around it, and I'm curious what you think, or if you have any others, because this is like a really important conversation for these running backs. Like, these guys are going to be, one of the last groups that are going to really struggle to get paid, right? Because eventually there's going to be a new negotiation with like the NFL and NFLPA where they come up with a new structure. But the running backs right now are all getting kind of screwed, right? From my perspective, I think the number one thing the NFLPA needs to do is they need to create a player only option for rookie contracts. If a player gets drafted, they should have an out after year 2 where they can say, I'm opting out of my current contract. I want a new contract. I don't think it is important for any position specifically. Running backs, obviously it makes a lot of sense, but I think every position can get a lot out of that. I think quarterbacks are getting screwed, right? How many teams are saying, if I don't have a top 5 quarterback, I need one on a rookie contract so I could build the team around him and fight for a Super Bowl that way. If the quarterback then had the option after year 2 to say, nope, I'm way more valuable than you're treating me, right? Like CJ Stroud next year can say, nope, I'm really good. You have to pay me that $500 million contract or $250 million contract that these guys are getting now, because like that's what he deserves, right? He's already, after 2 years, can show that he deserves that kind of contract. I think running back specifically, that would do wonders for them, right? If after year 2, Jonathan Taylor was able to say, yep, I want out of this contract, maybe the team can franchise tag him at that point to keep him another year before paying them, maybe, because at least then they'd get a bigger paycheck. But I think the running back needs to be able to say after 2 years, I only might have 4 more years left on my career, right? 6 years is pretty long for a running back. It gives them the ability to get paid within that window. I think that's number one. Number two, the other idea I had is incentives, right? I think there should be snap-based incentives for all rookie contracts. Every single one should have a snap-based incentive. You shouldn't be able to draft a guy in the 7th round, play him like he's like your number 1 running back for 4 years, and then not pay him. And he's making $350K. Absolutely should not be possible. There should be play-based incentives for those players to protect them in situations like that. So those are the 2 ideas you had. Not sure if you had any others, or if there's any others that you want to just crap on mine.
I'm not an idea guy. I have no ideas ever. The NFL does have something similar to what you mentioned. I don't know exactly what it's called and exactly like the formulas for it, but there is something where at the end of every year, there's some sort of bonus paid out to some lower end players who have some decent roles. But to your point, and to this end, especially for running backs, but even just in general, it could be more, right? And whether that's per team, if there's some way to structure it based on the impact per team, as opposed to a strict quantitative formula of snaps, I think that is a way that could be used to, it would go practically to a lot of running backs in this scenario and kind of help their earning power during that first contract. But everything in the NFL is a negotiation. It's all push-pull. The owners bend these guys over their knee every single CBA negotiation. So the owners would say, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Player empowerment, as long as we get a second franchise tag to use each year to protect ourselves from that. And that's which of course you go, franchise tag is evil. And like, yeah, kind of, yeah, okay. But if CJ Stroud were to opt out after this coming year, assuming he has a performance similar to his rookie year, and he cements himself in that top 8 to 10, maybe even higher, depending, list of quarterbacks in the NFL, okay, the franchise tag value is still a lot. So it still does incentivize you to try to get a deal done. And maybe it's not 2 per year. Maybe it's 3 per every 2 years or something to that effect. There's ways around it, but it will be a negotiation. And if there's anything we know, is that whenever there's a negotiation between the NFLPA and the NFL, the players get screwed somehow, some way. It's just one of those deals. So yes, I think those 2 are options that can be used or explored to help out underpaid players who get used up in their first contract and basically spit out. I'm just leery of negotiating with owners. The other thing too is, at least today, especially if you're a running back, just follow the Ezekiel Elliott playbook, but just be a little bit strategic about it.
Just get drafted by the Cowboys?
Yeah, get drafted by the Cowboys and just ride the coattails of the greatest offensive line that we've seen in 20 years. But wait until after the draft of your third season and then hold out. They can't bring anybody in at that point. So you go, you have no leverage, or they have no leverage at that point. And then you hold out after coming off a big year. If you're performing well, they've already drafted. There's no one else there. What are they going to take a veteran running back off the street? At the end of the day, we all know that that's not something that really is going to change the standing of an established young running back who's coming off of a great year. That's the way to do it. To be quite honest, at this point, with the tools available to you, which is hardly any, it's after your third year, which is when I believe you can negotiate your contract extension. Great. You play 3 years, wait until the draft passes, be Mr. Nice Guy, say all the right things in the media. And then as soon as the draft is over and it comes time to start reporting for training camp in a couple months, what have you, just say, I'm out. I'm not doing it. And that's your way to gain some leverage for the time being until something changes.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we had the conversation. I think it's interesting. I think it's important. And the All-22 think tank is going to be a thing, and we're going to just help the NFL players figure out how to get some more leverage out there. So reach out to us if you want that one. Yeah. Aaron Jones, I know you've been asking, feel free to reach out. We'll help you out, buddy.